Today, I am very happy to be joined by Mr. Loftus Lofty Durand. If you are a listener to Q95 radio station, you are very familiar with Lofty, and he is usually the one doing the interview. But today, we're putting him in the interviewee seat. So I hope he's okay with us asking him a couple of questions as we get to know him a little bit better. So by way of profession, Lofty is actually an electronic technician or an electrician, and he's the owner of Lofty Electronic Services in Dominica. And as I mentioned before, he is also a radio personality on Q95 FM in Dominica. So Lofty, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Simeon, for having me on. Thank you very much indeed. I appreciate the gesture.
Yes, it's certainly a pleasure having you on. So by way of introduction, just tell us a little bit more about who you are, because we hear you on the radio and we just think that we know you already. But who is who is Loftus Durand?
Well, that is very well in terms of you said you and other people normally hear me on the radio, and it would seem as if you know me or they know me. So that says that at least I'm doing something good. So thank you very much for that accolade in that department. Yes, my name is Loftus Durand. For those of you who don't know, I am an electrician, electronic technician by trade. It's kind of two in one, but both of them, they kind of intertwine, correlate with each other. An electrician basically deals with the more hard wiring stuff of lighting in homes and just having proper lighting. That is very, very important in a home or in a business or, just in your everyday operation. The electronic part of it is where now, apart from the lighting and everything that goes with the electrical business, the electronic part of it is where I come home, I come to your home, I come to your business, and whatever appliance you have that is giving you a little problem or just needs a servicing or is faulty, that is where I come in to make sure that that is in working order again. So all household appliances, once current passes in it, then I try my best to repair it.
Yes, certainly. And we all need someone with your skills and qualifications on speed dial, because especially, if there's like a thunderstorm or the power goes off, it always seems to like trip one of the equipments in our homes. So again, it's always good to have someone like you on quick call. So in terms of your business, tell us some of the challenges you faced as a small business owner in terms of getting your business going, and even any challenges you faced with, Hurricane Maria or Tropical Storm Erica. So some challenges you faced along the way.
Okay, I'm a very optimistic person. So, and that is how I kind of, live my life in a very optimistic mood, optimistic mood. So though there may be challenges, maybe in the owner of a small business, as you said before, that is true. But I normally look at the brighter side of being an owner of a small business in the Commonwealth of Dominica, in that for the past 20-something years, I have been able to feed myself, feed my family, offer help, financial help, or wherever it is that my help is needed. And it's as a result of me being the owner of a small business. So though there are many challenges, but I view it as a great opportunity to, as I said before, take care of my family, take care of myself, and even look after as well employing other young people, in that they too can earn a living, and also whilst on the job, I normally impart that knowledge of the how to do what I do, so that other young persons may be on the ball as well, as to they themselves earning a living out of the skill that I possess.
Great. So it sounds like you're interested in like an apprenticeship program where you can pass on the skills. And, you know, electricians and electronic technicians are always in demand. So that is certainly an area that I would recommend for a young person who's not quite sure what field they want to go into.
Yes, a matter of fact, a lot of younger guys than myself, some of them have passed under my training. I helped them along the way, and some of them are right now on their own, doing their own business, fending for themselves, feeding their family. They say knowledge or education doesn't stay in one head, and if it stays in one head, then it means very little. It is that passing on of information that can serve the greater good, where human kind is touched. And that is where I normally want to be, in terms of just passing on that information that I know, so that when the good Lord decide to call me home, at least there will be that information on the ground that I have left behind.
Yes, certainly, certainly. Now let's talk a little bit about your journey to becoming a media professional, a radio personality. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that the story was that you were a regular caller to Q95, and then somehow you became a radio personality. So kind of walk us through how all that happened.
Okay, well, wow, where do I start? I have a very technical brain, quote unquote. So anything to do with my hands, or anything to pick up or to learn or to grasp, my brain is wired in that department. So yes, I was just a regular caller to Q95, you know, making my point as a citizen of my country, standing up for my country wherever needs be. But the host of the program, you know, kind of saw something in me, and he invited me a couple of times to, you know, just be with him in the studio. Nobody not knowing I was there in the studio with him. And when he afforded me that opportunity, I pranced on that opportunity. And so I used to just be sitting down in the studio with him sometimes, just looking at him. I'm watching how he pushes cubes, or he runs his advertisements, how he does his thing. And so that great opportunity came now when he himself, I guess they say, sometimes the universe line up in such a way that you never know. That opportunity came for me when this host, Matthias Pelty Jr., he had to be out of Dominica for some time for some medical treatment. And the confidence that he gained in me, he asked me straight up one day, would you like to hold on for me in my absence?
Wow.
To tell you the plain truth, when he asked me that the very first time, my heart was pounding. I said, but wow. And I said to myself, no, you cannot do that. But after giving it some thought, I told him, let me just digest it, give it some thought. Giving it some thought, I slept on it, and I said, you know something, me being that optimistic person I am, I said, Lofty, there are many challenges in life, and you have overcome. So that is just one opportunity again for you to overcome whatever challenge there may be in that field of journalism. And voila, I made my mistakes. I'm still making mistakes, but as I said before, I am very optimistic. Challenges, they spur me on. I use them as a catalyst to be better, a better me. And so there's this guy who I listen to very much, Les Brown. He's one of my motivational speakers. And I saw myself as Les Brown in that he wanted to be a radio personality when he was younger. And a lot of persons did not have the confidence in him. Mm-hmm. And like me, he used to just hang around the disc jockey at the time. And the disc jockey one day was drunk, I believe, and really couldn't make it. And he basically just pranced on that opportunity. And if you know Mr. Les Brown well, for persons who look at him on YouTube, he's one of the best motivational speakers there is in life. And so I take that from him in the way that I go out there and turn my challenges into a very fascinating time.
Yes, I'm certainly familiar with Les Brown, and you're certainly correct that that's how he got his opportunity. He speaks about it quite extensively. And you know, it's so interesting that we're having this conversation because you talked about the apprentices in terms of the electrical work that you're doing. But I have to let you know that you also have an apprentice in me because I listen to you quite often on the radio. And I really appreciate your style. And I've been learning because this is only like the third month that I've been in broadcasting. So
Okay.
I've been learning quite a bit from just listening to the tone of your voice, the energy that you put, the way that you always remember to include people such as the homebound when you're sending out your initial greetings. So thank you for the lessons that you're teaching me on broadcasting.
Well, much obliged, much obliged.
And now the other thing I know that you're quite interested in is that you're a passionate activist, right? So I know that you had some experience in, like, for example, Operation Youthquake and the Youth Development Division. And I was just wondering, was that what sparked your interest in the importance of institutions, or where does that drive come from?
Okay, well, okay, even before I get to that whole activism part of me, you spoke about Operation Youthquake and the Youth Development Division in Dominica. These are the places, the institutions in Dominica where, when growing up, things were very, very rough for my parents, financially, economically, that is. And so when I graduated to go to high school, that is the Dominica Grammar School, things were so rough, as I said before, with my parents, especially my mother. By the way, my mother's name Elizabeth is Elizabeth Joseph. A very beautiful lady, I must say. I commend her every day for making me into the type of person that I am today. My father has gone to the great beyond, but he too has played a critical role in my life in terms of where I am today as a young man. But just to go back to the point that I was making, in that things were very rough for my mom in particular, with whom I raised. And when I got that pass to go to high school, I had to be sponsored because my mother couldn't do it economically. She couldn't buy the books, they were that expensive, the school uniforms, and all of that goes into a young man attending high school. And so I had to be sponsored by an organization in Dominica called Mapping Telecoms. Mm-hmm. That is a TV station we used to have in Dominica, funded by Mr. Abraham. I think Ronald Abraham is his name, I believe, yes. So they really helped me along my way. And the Operation Youthquake part is where, as an organization, that organization, it helps young people in Dominica to kind of charter the way, especially if these young people are not the privileged type. So I had again an opportunity to be at that Youthquake. It really speaks, the name speaks for itself, Operation Youthquake, in that it is a place where young people, youthful people who are having challenges, whatever challenges you may have, there's this organization in Dominica that they put you through a quote unquote a schedule, a programming. And at that operation, it kind of brings out the best in you as a young person. And so again, I want to say thanks to Mr. Lennox Abraham, who is the managing director of Operation Youthquake, and all his staff there who, in one way, shape or the other, had some kind of positive impact on my life. Being at that place in my life, I always had an eye. I always had a heart for the downtrodden because I know I was there. And I always told myself, whenever I grew up, I wanted to be that voice, be that eyes, be whatever it was or whatever it is for that person who is down there, who really cannot find their way out of their doldrums. And that is where that whole social activism part of me kicked in that I detest injustice. I detest any situation that other people may want to victimize other people. So Dominica having a good chunk of that level of deprivation of people's character, the victimization that goes on in the political sphere, even in the business sphere, and the whole, just looking down on other people as nothing sometimes, that I cannot stomach. And so that is why that level of activism, that vociferousness comes out sometimes in me when I see those things happening.
Yes, certainly. And I can certainly attest that you're the voice for the voiceless. Now, if you're just joining us, we're speaking to Mr. Loftus Durand out of Dominica. By profession, he's an electronic technician as well as an electrician, but he's also a radio personality on Q95 FM in Dominica. And we're talking about the important role that he plays as a social activist in Dominica. Now, Lofty, I guess this begs the question, what sort of challenges do you face? Dominica is such a small society. What sort of challenges do you face for being so outspoken against injustice in Dominica?
Well, one of my other mentors in the business of social activism is this very, very great orator he was, Malcolm X. Malcolm X, to me, lived at a time, and also Martin Luther King, they lived at a time where in their time racism was on the rise in America, and they really rose to the occasion and did their very best to try to stamp out that hysteria of racism. And Malcolm X, he always, whenever he started to speak, always recognized his foes. And so I took a cue from him, because your foe sometimes is, there are people who don't want to see the best for you in whatever area of life, but they too serve a purpose in that they keep you grounded, because you know jolly well that there are persons out there who wants to see you fall, who do not want to see your dreams and aspirations become a reality. And so, yes, in Dominica, there are lots of persons out there who I know are very indifferent to me speaking my mind where I see injustice shows its ugly head. But as I said, they only serve me as being, they only keep me grounded, because I know these negative energies, they are out there. But as I said before, I am a very optimistic person. I see the glass half full. So it's true they are there. It's true these forces are there to try to pull me back, pull me down, whatever it is. Some persons may even go out there and say bad things about me, not knowing me, want to tarnish my character in one way, shape, or another. Once I know that my conscience is clear, I do what I have to do and move on with the interest of my people in mind. That is where my heart is.
Could you repeat that?
I said my interest, you heard me right?
Yes.
My interest is to serve people to the best of my ability, whatever their need may be.
Yes, yes, and I can certainly see that being the case. Now, it seems like you're always on the move in terms of ideas and concepts to do just that. And it looks like your latest project is the new show on Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. I listen religiously to let you know. And it is, I think it's called Civic Vibes, right? So tell us, what was the idea behind that specific show that you now host Sundays at 1 p.m.?
Okay, a lot of people say it's a show,
Program.
but I normally say it's a program.
Yes.
Show to me is, you come, you listen to a show and, you just get the hype of it and move on. But a program speaks to something a little more deep,
Yes.
something that you are part and parcel of, you, the listener out there. So yes, it's a Civic Vibes program. It speaks for itself in that civics in our country, it is lacking. When I speak to the young persons in particular, even the elderly, some of the elderly people sometimes, I don't see or I don't hear coming from them that they are grounded as civic minded people. Civics has to do with your way of life, your culture, your everything as a citizen, knowing your rights, knowing your responsibilities towards your country and fellow men. And so that I knew, well, not I knew, that I was told by some elderly folks that was being taught in schools before. But I went to grammar school, I went to primary school for what, 5 years, 10 years plus, and there wasn't this subject called civics. And I know deep down that is as a result of the lack of civics, the lack of knowing who you are as a citizen, knowing your rights, knowing your responsibility as a citizen of the country. Because being a citizen of any country, I'm talking about Dominica because that's where I'm from, but being a country of, and being a citizen, sorry, of any country, that should stand for something. And a lot of times countries go through different turmoils, especially political turmoil, and it stems back by and large persons in that country, they are not akua, they are not in touch with they being a citizen of this country, what it takes to be a citizen of that country, what they have to do, what they have to say, how they have to act, just the whole cultural aspect of being a citizen of a country. So that is why I chose to kind of reintroduce that back into the Dominican context so that the young persons in particular, they would get a better grasp if they're following the program every Sunday. Because when I come to the program, it is something that I'm building. It's like, if you're a contractor and you're building a house. So you study the foundation, then you have your floor, you have your exterior walls, you have your roof. So it's something that I'm building in order that young persons in particular, the elderly folks, they are there as well, but young persons in particular come on board and know much more of the importance of being a citizen of any country.
Yes, certainly. And I commend you for doing just that. And I think it's especially important that you give the young people an opportunity to come on the show. I think recently you had a group of Kalinago young people on the show, and it was so impressive to listen to how, in particular, how they are researching their heritage, how they are researching how they can revive their culture, their language, their dance. So tell us, why is it so important not only for you to speak to the young people, but you have them come on the show as well?
I believe persons learn better by example. Persons learn better when they are involved. And so it is one thing to speak to people or speak to young people in particular, but it's another thing to know when they listen what they or how much they got from listening. But if you engage them, if you have them participate in what you're doing, then there comes a level of, again, responsibility on their part to add some value to whatever topic is being discussed, to whatever project we're doing at the time to improve their lives or their community life. And so that is why I took it upon myself as part of that program, Civic Vibes, to engage the young people every other Sunday. in that they are part and parcel of the program. So that I normally in the background before we come to the program tell them straight up, guys, the world is listening. It is not a quote unquote wash your foot thing and come. You have to do your research. You have to, you know, do the extra hours so that when you come on this program, you are well researched. You're professional. You know what you speak about. And so that is what I implore the young people to do. And like you said before, you hear them, and I guess that is a testament of what I just said a while ago in terms of how I am encouraging them to do what they do before they come on the program.
Yes, and it's also another example of how you're passing the knowledge on, because hopefully I can certainly hear that a few of them are destined to be in media, whether it's radio, television, some kind of broadcasting.
Yes.
So kudos to you for preparing them for a career in possibly media. Now, you talked about the importance of civics and how you're building on everything and the lack of civics at schools in Dominica. So would one of your goals be to see civics reintroduced in the schools, and would you like to play a role in that?
Well, that would be absolutely one of my goals for sure. And thanks as we speak, because they say iron sharpeneth iron. So right there, you give me something to think about now.
Absolutely.
And I may just by next week write a letter to the Ministry of Education and say, hey guys, you know, what about the reintroduction of civics in our curriculum? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we get ready to wind down, is there anything else you want to talk with us? Any final thoughts you want to leave for the listeners?
Well, there's much more that I can say to yourself and to your listeners, but I guess with the constraint of time, we'll have to cut it short. So I would always welcome another opportunity to be on with you so that the listening public, those viewing, can have a better idea of me as a person and my aspiration, my dreams for Dominica, and not just Dominica, but the region in which I live, the Caribbean Basin, and also the wider community. I had the opportunity sometimes January of this year to go to the US to enroll in a leadership training program as it pertains to volunteerism and again, civic leaders. And so I just want to thank the many, many persons who made that trip a worthwhile a success as it was. I also want to thank the embassy, the US Embassy in Bridgetown, Barbados, for facilitating that transaction right there. All the teachers who taught, it was 42 of us, 42 participants worldwide. We had people from as far as Lebanon, all over. We had a wonderful time. And so I just want to thank everyone who played a role in having me part of that lifetime experience. And so with that, with what I learned, I am more armed, quote unquote, to come back to execute on the ground. And that is where I am even more fired up to help build communities, help groom younger persons so that they can emulate something from me, and then their peers can emulate something from them, and the cycle goes on and on and on. So again, I just want to thank you for giving me that opportunity to speak to you this afternoon and your audience at large.
Yes, and again, thank you for the tireless work that you do, and I would love to have you on. Anytime you want to come on, you have a major announcement, you want to talk a little bit more of how the civic development is going, that is certainly a topic we can keep exploring. Now, by way of contact, if I was interested in hiring you for your electrical services, how might I get in touch with you?
Well, the world really goes with emails and stuff now. So my email address is Loftus Durand. That is my name, Loftus Durand, Loftus is one word, Durand, and you add 76 to that at gmail.com. Also, my telephone number is 1-767-245-2396. Once you try any of those contacts, you will find me somewhere along the line.
Good, good. So thank you for sharing that. So once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us today. And we certainly look forward to keeping in touch with you and all the wonderful work that you're doing, especially for the young people.
Yeah, and I want to thank you very much for extending that opportunity. And I know yourself, you are doing solid work in the background yourself, this push past 10 aspect of it. I know you're a solid contributor, you're a solid contributor to your country as well. So I just want to thank you very much and continue to do your best in what you do.
Yes, thank you. And you know, the way I look at it is we each have a role to play. So, you
Sure.
know, I'm certainly made from the same cloth that you are because I think that success actually is the degree to which I'm passing on the knowledge. And it sounds like you feel the same way as well.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. So nice connecting with you and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Simon. Thank you. Thank you
All
for
right.
that.
Take care. I'll listen to you on Sunday as always.
All right. Great indeed.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.